I want to ask, what is something you do that make you feel certain? It could be anything. Is that one thing that you do, or a few things you do, but that one thing that you do that makes you feel certain when it comes to just anything that you want. A lot of people got a lucky shoes that they put on to feel that certainty, or a chain, or a specific watch that they wear, or a favorite color. Remember back in the old days, back in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, it was, you'll always see the rabbit. You remember the rabbit foot? You always see the rabbit foot in the cards, in the mirrors. If you can remember those days. Some people look at loved ones, the picture of the kids, before any type of big decisions or anything that they need certainty around. If you are a golfer, you remember the days of Tiger, when Tiger was cooking. And if you got to Sunday and Tiger was around the leaderboard and that red polo come out, and you knew what was in effect with Tiger when he pulled out the red polo shirt on Sundays, right? You remember those days, right? But again, the question, I want you to think hard through this. The question is, what is that one or two things that you use or do that brings certainty, that brings that placebo that we've been talking about to you? One thing. Everybody's been around a pool hall where folks are shooting pool, and you can see some folks got different techniques for how they shoot pool. Some people, turn their hand a certain way before they pre-shot. Same thing when you watch bowling. There's always some type of ritual somebody does before they bowl, right? Just trying to stretch your mind a little bit. The point I'm getting to when I talk about certainty, whether it's an item, clothing, pictures, the point is the object or technique, it really doesn't have no power. It doesn't have any power. The power is in the belief in the object or technique. The belief. Right? The belief in the object and technique that creates that certainty, that confidence, that calmness that you need when it is something that you want. Last week, I was meeting with a client. I was out down in Southern Maryland, meeting with a client, and I noticed he would knock on wood whenever a negative comment or outcome was mentioned. He'll knock on wood during our conversation. All right. Look like they're performing something. So this is a stadium right here. Where I'm at currently is the Washington Commanders Stadium. And it look like they're using the parking lot to perform some type of fire trucks, some type of exercise. Looked like it. But yeah, this is the Commanders Stadium. They're getting ready to move. They got a couple more years here at this stadium. What's called FedEx Stadium, now it's called Northwest Stadium. And they've been playing here since the 1990s, or 1999, I think, before Jack Cam Cook transitioned. 70,000. It was more than that. I think it was almost 100,000. They had to take out seats because of attendance and opponent fans taking over the stadium. But in a couple years, 2030, I believe the time target is that this, they're going to be moving to and back to DC, back to the RFK campus, where they belong. And for folks that are around the DMV, you remember this area was called Rajan. You remember they branded this area as Rajan, as opposed to Landover. Everybody who's from this area know Landover, but they tried to brand it as Rajan, call it a different name, and it never worked. So it went back to Landover, Maryland, and that's where we are. There was lots of plans for this area, and those plans seem like they never worked out. If you know, you know. Just didn't work out here. All right, so I talked about last week, down in Southern Maryland, talking to a client, and every time there was something bad that came out, or comment or whatever, he'd knock on wood consistently. It wasn't like a one-off thing. It was like, yeah, if I don't get this client, man, that client said, I was like, okay. I know people that before they roll dice, they kiss the dice. Right? You know the type of people. We all can't forget about the old school classic Harlem Nights. Can you? Can you forget about that movie? That movie is the classic movie, Harlem Nights. But the scene, I think it was the opening scene of Harlem Nights, and they are in a tight room. By the way, a lot of legends in that movie. Pryor, the late Richard Pryor, I think he was up dealing with his struggles at that period of time. Eddie Murphy was in there. Red Fox, Robin Harris. There's a lot of legends in that movie. But don't forget the opening scene in that movie where they're rolling dice. They're in it, and everybody's making jokes of the guy because he's been crashing out throughout. And he told everybody, I better not crap. His wife needs shoes, the kid need clothes, and somebody said, hey, you need teeth. Right? So they cutting up on him. And then he rolls and he busts, he craps. And everybody's laughing at him. And then he realized there's a little one that's in the room. So he immediately grabs Richard Pryor, who I can't remember his name at right now, but Richard Pryor, and told him that I don't shoot with these kids in here. The kids bring him bad luck. You can remember that scene, right? Right? He told everybody that anytime he's shooting, the kid brings him bad luck. All right? So he blamed the kid for losing his money, and you know what the kid did to him for blaming him for the bad luck. But it brings back the point again. It's not the object, right? It's not the object. It's not the technique in shooting dice or pool or whatever. It's not the object. It's the belief or the conviction that it would deliver. Have you ever wondered why two people can do the exact same ritual and get completely different results? The results, again, are not, the power is not in the rituals. It's not in the technique. I've talked to entrepreneurs, business owners that can't get their day started without green tea. That's the only thing that will put them in a good mood for the morning, is drinking green tea. Puts them in the right state of mind. Green tea. So I think you're getting the point, what I'm getting at. You know, the mind, again, the mind is powerful. Right? The mind is powerful. The mind influences your body when you truly expect something to work. It's the same principle when it comes to manifestation. When you're manifesting your desired reality, whatever technique that can influence your body, right? Whatever technique that can influence your body, your mind, to truly expect that it will work, then that's the technique that you should use for manifesting. There's always questions about, you know, that this comes in, probably get about 5-7 questions every day about, you know, I watch your videos, I'm checking you out on Instagram and TikTok, but I don't know which way I should be manifesting. Like, I don't know the right, if I'm doing the right techniques, or what's the right techniques or tools I should be using to manifest. Again, don't outthink the room. Trying to, you know, come up with the best techniques. You get what I'm saying? Don't overthink this on, you know, what's the best techniques for how I can manifest. The best technique is the one you believe in. When you believe in something when you believe something is going to happen, your energy is just much more stronger, right? Think about when you book a vacation. The trip may be about 3 months away, but the moment you buy the ticket, your energy changes. You're already imagining the experience. You're already emotionally there, right? The event hasn't happened though, but the state has already changed. That makes sense? That's the difference between hoping and having conviction. The folks that hope are never there, right? The folks that are hoping, I'm hoping, never gets there. The folks that are convicted, can have conviction, is already there. That's what Jesus, meant when he said, when you pray, believe that you have received it and it would be yours. That's Mark 11:24. It's important. That's the conviction that I'm referring to. That's the placebo. Not hoping for it, but you believe it's already there. You already have it. That's that Jalen Brunson conviction to take over a game in the fourth quarter. And that's that Jay-Z conviction to go off script and freestyle at the Roots cookout, picnic, or Yankee Stadium. Look like more tours are coming on. I don't know if it was freestyle or not, right? I mean, some people said that was written. Some people said that was off the cuff. I don't know. But it's a conviction behind it, right? The importance of conviction is it strengthens It strengthens your frequency. That's what conviction is. It strengthens your frequency. You are sending out to the universe. And we all, if you've been listening to my lessons, that frequency, vibration is the language of the universe. So my point in all of this is you have to have conviction in your techniques. When you pray, when you meditate, when you visualize it's done, you are, you're not secretly checking every day your bank account. I want to grow, sometimes the hardest thing for a high performer is, getting away from it, detaching from the desire, the goal. Checking the bank account all day long, checking the email to see if the contract landed, right? Checking to see if the loan has gone through, right? The question you have to ask yourself is, are you acting from certainty or are you acting from hope? Like a large amount of, there's a lot of stuff going on in the city today or this weekend. Look like this is a funeral line, but there's a lot of stuff going on for the celebration 250 downtown DC this weekend. I am pulling up over here. If you could see the landmark over here. This is Six Flags. This is the former, let me check that. This is the former Six Flags that was closed down last November 2025. So it's no longer in operations. And folks are wondering what's going to happen with this location. It's about 500 acres of property here. And people are pushing back and say, hey, we don't want a data center. So we're going to see how that develops out. But the Six Flags location here in Maryland, Kevin Durant has an investment team. I think a minority owner and investment team that's looking to, or I think has purchased the property. So we talked about a lot in this lesson. Powerful lesson about the mind, about the beliefs, about the conviction that you need to have. And regardless of field that you're in, niche that you're in, whatever you do, and if you're trying to manifest, think about this lesson today. Think about this opening with the 50-year-old gentleman that went to the doctor. Think about the many people that have persevered because of their conviction and what they believe in. When you have that conviction, you know you have it, right? You're not creating anything. You're just moving or making the invisible visible, right? You're selecting what you want, and now you're moving that invisible to the visible, which means manifesting is instant. It's not something that you wait on. It's not something that should take 10 years to do if you have conviction. Have you ever decided right away that you decided, I'm going to find a parking spot right up front, and one opens up right as you arrive at that location, the parking spot right up front? See how fast it can happen? See how fast you can manifest instantly? Have you ever been thinking about someone and suddenly you get a text from them? Instantly. Thought about an old friend. You haven't seen this friend probably in 10 years, and unexpectedly run into that friend. This is how manifestation works. So it's instant. A shift in your attention and expectations makes the opportunity, right, appears. You get what I'm saying?